Well, let me tell you a little bit about when I began to work on farms. I was 13 years of age, and we had a man in our neighborhood who owned 80 acres of farmland about 3 miles out of town, a fellow by the name of Joseph Steeline. He kept a stable in town where he housed 3 horses, a couple of cows, and a small flock of chickens. And each day he would harness these horses and drive out to the farm to labor for the day in whatever crops or whatever was necessary for that particular season of the year. And he needed a handyman or a handy boy around the place to help him cultivate corn, potatoes, and to harvest the hay crop. So I went out there. I hired out for 50 cents a day. And Mother had to provide me with a lunch pail. And I had a good appetite. I don't think that Mom made any money on me that season. We would get out there to the farm, and I would run this hay rake. It was a 1-horse powered hay rake. And Mr. Steeline would have the other pair of horses, and he would be cutting and mowing hay, and I would do the raking of the hay that had been cut the previous day if it were dry enough. And then in the late afternoon we would harvest all this hay from the fields and bring it in and store it in the barn. When the haying season was over, we had cultivation of crops. He'd set me up on top of the back of one of the horses and harness it to a cultivator, and I would guide the horse up and down the rows of corn, and Mr. Steeline would be back there trying to handle the cultivator and not be tearing out any of his crop. And we'd go back and forth in the sun, in the hot sun, and we'd labor like that until about 5 in the afternoon, and then we would ride back into town. Now, I had been working there enough time that I accumulated about $22, I think it was, that he owed me that first season that I worked for him. And I began to, well, I was thinking for a long time, what was I going to do with the money? So I wanted a watch real bad. And we were people who did a lot of shopping in our Sears and Roebuck catalog. And in that catalog, I found a nice gold watch, a pocket watch. And it had a lot of engraving on the gold case. And at no extra cost to me, they would initial it for me. So I had ALP initialed on the case. And we sent out for that watch. I think it cost $15. I gave Mom the balance, the $7 balance, and this watch came in, and I was a very proud owner of it. We were wearing, all our boys of our age at that time wore bibbed overalls. Bibbed overalls, for you young people that don't know what they are, it consists of a pair of overalls with a bib front to it and suspended with cloth suspenders. And in this bib thing on the front of you, covering your chest, there was a pocket for a watch. And that's where my gold watch went, very proudly, and I wore it. And I had it for a good many years. After the gold wore off the case, I kept it around the house in my treasure chest of odds and ends, and right now I couldn't tell you whatever happened to it. I think I took it apart to see what makes a watch work, trying to think of maybe someday I might gain some knowledge on the workings of a watch that might help me out as I matured.